Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, listeners and viewers out there. We want to say good morning and welcome to another important edition of our radio program, Integrated Watch. Integrated Watch is a 1 hour live radio program of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. The edition of this show is on this station, ECOWAS Radio 91.5, and it runs from 11 to 12 noon. And it is also really on Prom FM 105.5. Integrated Watch serves as a primary radio-based and communication and information dissemination platform of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is a key advocacy tool that provides essential information about the state of the fight against corruption and national integrity building efforts, as well as promotes the culture of accountability, transparency, integrity, and evidence-based decision-making across all sectors and institutions of our wonderful and beloved country, Liberia. Under CENTAL's National Integrity Building Anti-Corruption Program, that is funded by the government and people of Sweden to do the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SEDA. This program serves as an advocacy, coordination, and engagement platform to rally citizens and other stakeholders support for the fight against corruption and bad governance in Liberia. As part of the NEMA program, as I stated earlier, that's the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program. This center has established the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. Under this program, that's the NEMA program, there are several activities there. And one of the activities happens to be the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. What is the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center? It's an independent platform that enables citizens to freely report and seek redress to corruption and other integrity-related issues within their communities, counties, and the country at large. So how is ELAC operating and what do we have there? At ELAC, we have a team of professionals, including lawyers who are willing and ready to listen and provide the necessary advice needed per the complaint. So we want to encourage citizens to freely report through the following mediums. So we have our email address, we have our Facebook page, we also have walk-in services too, and we also have hotline numbers that you can call. So for our email, we have our email is alac@cental.org.lr. I repeat, alac@cental.org.lr. For the Facebook page, it's CENTAL ELAC. So that is CENTAL at ELAC. So CENTAL ALAC. We have walk-in services. You can just stop by our offices on 22nd Street, opposite Lucky Farm, opposite JFK. That's the John F. Kennedy Hospital, atop Lucky Pharmacy. We have our hotline number. It's a short number. You can just call it, but please, we would like to advise people not to just call the number and play fun, please. It's very serious. Like I said earlier, we have a team of professionals, including lawyers, who are willing to listen to your complaint. So you can put your call to 4432. That's the 4-digit number, 4432. We're also in partnership with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. There's also a hotline number there. You can call 0555-395 728 0555-395-728. And we also have orange number there for the LACC is 0776-600-050. There's a short code too we have. LACC have too. Is 4048. 4048. You can also call that number. We always like to encourage our guests to be very civil and informative, with zero tolerance for invectives and denigrating comments. And we also encourage them to be very succinct and very decorous in their dispositions as well. So today's edition of the Integrated Watch program will play host to CENTAL team lead in person of Mr. Anderson D. Miamen. Uh, as you may be aware that CENTAL is implementing a 3.5-year program that is called the National Integrated Building Anti-Corruption Program. That is sponsored by the government of people of Sudan with support from the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, CEDA. So he will be throwing light on the activities of CENTAL and what are some of those things that they are recommending to the government of Liberia or in the fight against corruption. So before we put him on our platform, or before we put him on the camera, let's just talk about little things that matter quickly. First, I want to say good morning to His Excellency, President George Manawiya, and to the people of Liberia. Congratulations to the President for the PAC, the Invincible PAC. It's laudable. We appreciate that kind of development. My concern is due to the maintenance. Often people build, places in our country, but the maintenance aspect is what we are lagging. The park is beautiful, but we're just hoping that it will be maintained. Like after 4, 5, 6, 7 years, what would that park be? We're just concerned about it. It's important. We are very concerned about it. The maintenance of the park. And not only the park alone, we have government agencies, the buildings. Are they maintained? Are they well taken care of? We have the street lights. We don't see the lights like on nowadays. Those days when Liberia or just in Monrovia, had the street lights on, it was beautiful. People adhering to the street light rules and regulations. But nowadays, you don't see the street lights again. They're not on, including our light, our electricity. The electricity is not on like regular. I don't want to talk about LEC. We're encouraging the government of Liberia to at least put in some mechanism to maintain whenever they build something or whenever something is being put into being. Please, we're encouraging the government of Liberia and the people to at least let us try to maintain what we built. Mr. President, as you may be aware, the accusations and counter accusations of corruption, especially at governments, ministries, and agencies, is concerning, with specific focus on the recent alleged corrupt practices at the Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geo Information Services. That's the LIGIS. This is something you need to look at. The government, the people of Liberia, they are looking up to you to do something. If you set a precedence, these things will not happen. So you need to look into these things. And one of the things that is very concerning is the outbursts of diplomats and partners, especially concerning good governance, transparency, and accountability. This is something that you need to look into. 2 years ago, we had diplomats talking about this thing. They wrote a letter to you talking about there's a need for transparency and accountability. The misapplication of donors' money is something that you need to look into. When donors send money into the country, it's important that the monies that they send, let it be appropriated and applied properly. It is something that the government should be very keen on. In 2021, the EU delegation talked about. It was last year. The EU delegation talked about the deadliness of our capital city, and interestingly, Liberia Liberia, the entire Liberia is dirty. There's a need that you do something about it. People are trying, but the citizens themselves too, they really need to do something about how tidy the entire country is. People just put garbage all along the street. The garbage at the waste it's not in hiding. It's on the streets, on the main streets. It's something that we need to do. We need to do something about it. Citizens, please, if you are patriotic citizens and you love to see your country very clean, please, it's something that you need to do. Try to dispose those waste that you have to a particular place. Don't just dash it all over in the streets. It's important. Back to the diplomats. Earlier this year, we from the United States government, Dana Banks, she talked about the need for transparency. Gregory Meeks and Ambassador McCarthy. All of these people are all pointing for the need for accountability and transparency in Liberia. I tell you this for free, Mr. President. Diplomats are not those people who usually go on public issues, but when it happens, it sends out a very negative impression about your leadership in the country. Your Excellency, you need to do something about it. It is very important. You need to do something about it. So before I also our guest today, let me just say Happy Easter to all of the Christians around the world, and also we are aware that the Muslims too are, they are engaged into the fast. This is the fast month, so we pray and we are in prayer of them that Allah answer their prayers as well. So let us just take a break and we come back to usher our guests in. Let's just take a break to usher our guests in. Just a break. Welcome back, wherever you are. Welcome back. The program that you are in tune to is Integrity Watch. It's a 1-hour program, or radio program of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. If you are following us live on Facebook, we want to say drop a comment. We have one person who is following us live on Facebook. 2 persons, 3 persons. Now we have one person that just commented, following from CENTAL's head office on 22nd Street, Single Samuel GFP. Thank you for following. Just keep your comments coming. So welcome, Mr. Miamen. Just tell the people about, just call your name to the people. I don't want to call your name. Just introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Thank you to the ECOWAS Radio family for this opportunity. We're glad for the partnership. We believe that the media has been playing a very critical role in Liberia, and they continue to play that role. We're grateful for that, especially so the ECOWAS Radio family that has been immensely contributing towards different processes in Liberia, especially so efforts to increase access to information, relevant information that citizens can use, that development partners can use, that the government can use, and all other people and institutions in Liberia can use to make informed decisions. I would also like to say thank you to you, Mark, and the team at CENTAL, especially the media department, for the great job you've been doing over the period to host this program. We believe that it is helping to reach out to a lot of people out there. We may not get direct feedback from some of these people, but we know that this platform, for example, that the ECOWAS Radio family has provided us, reaches out to as many people as possible across Liberia and even beyond. So thank you for the job you've been doing. Let's do more so that we get the message across, the anti-corruption message, the integrity-related message, and the message of good behavior, good citizenship, for us to work together to make Liberia a better place. I'm also happy to be here. I'm happy to be leading the team at CENTAL, a group of largely young people who are helping to make Liberia better in their own small ways. Thank you again for having me. I look forward to an interesting and engaging conversation.
Thank you so much. That was a voice from Mr. Miamen. Anderson D. Miamen. He's the head of the team at the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL. So let's get the ball rolling, Mr. Miamen. Center. Center has been on the news. Center has been in the ears of people. What are some of those? But first, let's talk about the program that you are running currently. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so there may be people who are hearing about the organization for the first time, although we've provided this information severally. But it's important to always do that because there will be people who will be listening to you for the very first time. So for those who may be hearing about the organization for the first time, CENTAL, CNTAL, the acronym is the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. We are a local organization, civil society organization, but we're also the national chapter of Transparency International, what is called TR. And Transparency International is the global coalition against corruption, the leading global organization when it comes to the fight against corruption. We've been a chapter. We've been associated with Transparency International for a very long time now, and we're glad to be partnering with them, engaging with chapters in other parts of the world, especially in West Africa and Africa, are large to contribute to efforts to promote the culture of accountability, transparency, and integrity. In Liberia, CENTAL has been doing a whole lot since 2004 when the institution was established. There's been a whole lot in terms of supporting reform efforts. So many of the things that we see in the governance and anti-corruption space, especially the anti-corruption space in Liberia, are things that CENTAL contributed to. People before us contributed to, and some of the people who are currently part of the team at CENTAL. And one thing that I like to say is that over the period, we've enjoyed the support from the public. Citizens have been very supportive of the work we do. And this is, of course, in a way obvious because what we do is for the people. We do not engage with the work we do because of our own selfish interests. What we do is meant to make Liberia better. And when the country is better, all of us benefit. But the poor people who are out there who do not have sustainable livelihood, who do not have jobs to do, whose resources are misdirected at different levels, people who are beneficiaries of projects and interventions that the government or other organizations and we are very grateful for the support they've provided also for the period. We are grateful also for the support that we've received from the government. Many of the government partners, stakeholders in government appreciate the work we do. Yes, we have issues here and there because of the positions we take, because people think that we should not be saying some of the things we say. But what we do are in good faith, basically, and they are meant to make Liberia better. We are grateful for the partnership we've enjoyed over the period from the government, from the different government players, especially the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, that is the new government institution that we partner with. The media, of course, colleagues in civil society, and the partners, our donors that have contributed resources and provided technical support to get us to the level we are. We're grateful to them for the partnership and the support over the period. What are we into at the moment? There are a number of things that we do. And of course, with the level of corruption in Liberia, evidenced by the different reports that have come up, the most recent being the US State Department report, Human Rights Report, that speaks to impunity for corruption in Liberia, public sector corruption, the laws being very weak or not being enforced scrupulously. All these are challenges that we have that we need to address as a country. And so, with the Transparency International 2021 Corruption Perception Index report also speaking to a very high level of corruption in Liberia and very limited efforts from the government to fight against corruption. These are concerning reports that we need to look at as Liberians. And as we've always said, even though the fight against corruption requires collective efforts, but there are people who should lead the process, especially the civil government, the state institutions, the presidency, the judiciary, the legislature, and of course the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission that has the mandate to oversee the fight against corruption in the country. What we have said over time that we like to reiterate is the fact that there has to be a very strong political will. There has to be very concrete commitment to deal with corruption in Liberia. This includes, but not limited to, of course, providing adequate funding, logistical support to public integrity institutions so that they have what they need to deliver on their mandates. The legal framework, the environment for dealing with corruption has to be conducive as well. Those who lead that process, the commissioners at the LACC, the technicians at the LACC, those who are associated with CENTAL, those who are doing human rights advocacy or who are into advocacy, these people need the space. Even the media, they need a conducive environment. And for the most part, we like to thank the government for the environment that has been created. Yes, there are issues here and there, but for the most part, we have an enabling environment to do the kind of work we do. We're grateful to the government for that. We're grateful to our partners that have been helping to create that space and sustain that space. But what has been lacking that CENTAL has consistently reiterated to the government is the will to fund public integrity institutions. LACC continues to struggle. There are lots of issues that we've come up with in our annual State of Corruption report in 2021. We talked about different issues, lack of constituted leadership at the different public integrity institutions, LACC not having a fully constituted board of commissioners, LACC not having the logistics, the financial and other resources they need to fully operate, not having the leverage they need to operate, the Public Procurement Concession Commission, all the other institutions not having the resources they need to fully function. Of course, they impact adversely on their work and has implications for how partners and citizens see the government in terms of its commitment to deal with corruption, especially so that there have been different allegations of corruption coming up, whether it is the issue involving the head of the National Port Authority, the corruption saga, whether it is the issue at the Buchanan Port, whether it is the issue that came up concerning allegations of corruption at the Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services. These are all issues that really do not augur well for the reputation of the country. And as a people, as Liberians, first of all, before working with CENTAL or for CENTAL, we like to say to the government and the people of Liberia that we need to do more. We need collective efforts. The government has to lead that process. The presidency has to lead that process. Yes, there are a few things that are happening. For example, the bills that the executive submitted to Parliament to strengthen the legal framework for fighting against corruption, the one on whistleblowing, the one on witness protection, the one on amending the law, creating the LACC to give them direct prosecutorial power. Even though the law has passed on these bills, they're before the Senate for action. We are urging the Senate using this medium to encourage them to very timely pass on those bills so that they become law and we can use to inform the decisions we make in the governance and anti-corruption space. But overall, the presidency, the president of Liberia, who is the leader of Liberia, the father of the country, has to lead by example, has to be decisive, has to be more concrete, has to be deliberate in the decisions he makes in dealing with corruption. From what we see right now, the deterrent mechanism is very weak. The president has not shown enough in terms of concrete commitment. Yes, we've heard him making statements. He's made utterances, but he has not matched those utterances with actions. For example, what is happening alleges right now, even though it's allegation, but some of the people at the center of the allegation have confirmed violating relevant Liberian laws, the public financial management guidelines, PPCC guidelines, for example, procurement or purchasing of used generator, which the cost appears to be higher than the actual material that was purchased. So this is something that is very concerning. We had thought that by now the president would have suspended these people pending outcome of the investigation that is ongoing at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. But it is not late. We call on the president to suspend all of the officials at the center of this allegation, corruption allegation, very grave one at the Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services. This is going to help to give a signal to the partners that the president is taking up a different trend. He's moving in the right direction in terms of dealing with corruption, taking more concrete and deliberate actions. Again, going back to what I said earlier, it is not enough for the president to say, I'm committed to fighting against corruption. It is important, even more important, for him to match his actions with the things he said. At the moment, he's not doing that. We're not seeing much. You can't have a major allegation like this against your officials that are managing a very strategic institution, strategic processes, and you keep them in the position. And there's almost complete quiet to you in terms of what the presidency is speaking to the matter. Yes, again, don't get us wrong. The LACC is investigating the matter, but when certain things come up, administrative actions are needed. And in this case, we think that the president should suspend those at the center of the corruption saga alleges, so that it sends a sort of message to citizens, to partners, to people out there that there's some light, along the way that can be seen in terms of doing things differently, in terms of the government shaking up, in terms of the president shaking up, to show to the public that corruption would be an issue of the past. As it is, we're not seeing much as an institution.
You just heard Mr. Miamen and made some points about things that are ongoing in our country. It's important that we know these things and fight to reduce corruption in our country. It's very important. So as when someone hears the name National Integrity and Anti-Corruption Building, what comes to mind? There are so many activities on that. So do you care to talk about those activities on that particular?
Yeah, so as CENTAL, one of the things we do, there are many things we do, by the way.
Yeah.
One is to really build a culture of integrity amongst the population, not just in government, but in the communities. Because as we've always said, corruption is not a government thing, but we usually talk about what happens in the government, what the government actors can do, because they're the leaders of the country. They need to lead by example. They're the ones who implement the laws we have and even pass on the laws we have. We can make all of the suggestions, but those we have at the legislature are the ones who eventually will pass on the laws to become those bills to become laws for us to use. It is the president who oversees the country, makes appointments at these different institutions, and signs off on the budget, the national budget. So it gives him a very huge task in terms of managing our processes, managing the lives of the people, basically, because what they do have either negative or positive impacts on the people. But corruption happens in the communities, happens even in civil society, happens in the media, happens in private sector. And this is why we've been calling for holistic approach. And this is why also CENTAL does not work alone. We believe in partnership. We believe in working with other people, because not one institution, not even the government, can fight against corruption alone. That is why we're here helping to support government in the process. And so we're very keen about collaboration and partnership. We're keen about people having access to information. We're keen about people having access to mechanisms that they can demand for actions and take actions themselves against corruption. And so, thankfully, the government and people of Sweden, Trisida and the embassy here in Liberia, provided us funding to implement the National Integrity Building Anti-Corruption Program, 3.5 years program that started in August of 2020. One of the things we're seeking to achieve on that project is to ensure that there is relevant information available to people, available to stakeholders, available to citizens that they can use to make informed decisions in terms of engaging with the fight against corruption, in terms of engaging with the leaders, in terms of demanding accountability of the system, but also importantly, in terms of they themselves leading by example in living lives of integrity or denouncing corruption. And so we have been doing a number of things. The radio program we're having right now is one of the activities that we have that is helping to give people access to information. The discussion we're having here, people are learning, people are hearing about a whole lot, some of them for the first time. And we expect that the information we provide on this platform and all other platforms that we're using to get messages out there to the people can help to increase the knowledge levels of the people on what they need to do to support the fight against corruption, especially so that they will be knowing about the happenings in the country when it comes to governance efforts, when it comes to the efforts of civil society, when it comes to the efforts of development partners, but particularly what CENTAL is doing to support that process. So we're doing that. We have jingles that are on the radio, and they're helping to increase access to information. We branded some of the NTA bosses with anti-corruption integrity related messages. They're applying different routes in Liberia, some going to Nima, some going to Grand Bassa, some going to Bomi and Bon County and all of that. And they're helping to give people information that they can use to engage with the system, to denounce corruption themselves, to reject corruption, but then also demand accountability and transparency from their leaders. As part of that process of giving people access to information, giving people the space to engage, we do what we call open expenditure engagement. So we believe that with the open budget process that the government has, which helps in a way to give information to the public on what the national budget is, what is in the budget, the allocations or the support that the different institutions have in the budget. As CENTAL, we believe that net availability of budgetary figures is not enough. We think we should go beyond that and look more at the spending part of it, and even take the budget to the people out there in the communities and share with them what they need to know so that the demand for what they need to get, especially so the county social development funds, counties that are benefiting from social development funds, like Nima County, like Bon County, like Grand Bassa. We think that people in these areas need information that they can use to engage. And so we hold this open expenditure forums in these counties, the 7 counties that are covered by the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program: Monserrado, Bomi, Bapolu, Bonk, Nima, Grand Bassa, and Riverside. We hold these events, bringing the different players together, the project management committee people, those who oversee management of the county social development funds, the superintendents, the development superintendents, and even the lawmakers of these counties. We bring them together along with ordinary citizens, traditional leaders, women groups, youth groups, and all of these people, civil society people, so that they engage, they have civil conversations around what needs to happen, projects that have been resoluted, projects that have been implemented, the statuses of this project, and how citizens can make contributions that can help to ensure transparency and accountability in not just allocating resources to these projects, but the actual implementation that eventually has impact, direct impacts on their lives, whether positively or negatively. So we do that, and it has been helping across the country to give people again access to information, to create platform that can enable them engage with their leaders, have conversations, cross learning, cross engagement for the betterment of their communities, their counties, and the society at large. So that's just one part of what we do as CENTAL. But then the other piece is when you do all of these engagements and you give people information, you give them the light, you give them the leverage to engage. You also have to give them the space if they have issues to voice out those issues. If they have concerns, for them to put through those concerns so that they get addressed appropriately. And so to do that, we created this advocacy and legal advice center that is helping to receive corruption and other related complaints. So the ALAC, as you indicated earlier in your intro, is a center, a flagship program of Transparency International, by the way. It exists in more than 64 countries around the world. Liberia is one. And basically what the ALAC does, or Advocacy and Legal Advice Center does, is to provide expert advice to people who want information advice on corruption, accountability, and governance related issues. So a number of services we provide. You talked about the walking service that people can walk in to report corruption. So if you saw something out there that is inimical to public interest, that undermines public interest, that has the ability to take away resources or benefits from the people, report that issue. Police corruption, maybe corruption in civil society, corruption in any government institution, wherever the process is, whether the passport process, whether the process leading to acquisition of driver license, whether birth certificate, whatever it may be. If you went to hospital and people demanded money from you that you're not supposed to pay, you can report. So you call that number 4432 hotline, free. You can call, whether you're a Lone Star or Second subscriber, you call that number, it's free, and you can report. So what we do at that center is to collect that information. The technicians are there, the experts are there. They will engage with you to get that information, ask a few questions here and there, collect as much information as possible to make sure that what you're reporting is in public interest. It has substance, and then they forward the issues to the relevant agencies of government for action. As we've said, we're partnering with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and many other government institutions, private sector institutions as well, because corruption is the core money of the LSCC. We have that partnership, that relationship that gets us to send these complaints to them. We've done a number of that over the period since we started the center in late 2020. And some of the cases that the LSCC is dealing with right now are cases that came through our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. We encourage people out there to report corruption, to stand up against corruption, to denounce corruption, and speak out. And one of the ways you can do it is to report anything you see. We do not only use the center to get corruption complaints. We encourage people to also call and ask if you need information on what the LSCC is doing, if you need information on what the Public Procurement and Concession Commission is doing, if you need information on the code of conduct, you can call that number 4432. We can provide the information. If it means sharing some of the documents with you, we can also do. So we're using the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center to not only receive complaints, but provide other services that can help people to make informed decisions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Before we go to because young people are very crucial in the developmental process of our country. It's important that we talk about them, that we include them. So before we go to that, I will open the line quickly. Listeners out there in Radio Land and viewers, we want to open the line quickly. If you're watching us, the number is going to be dropped on the screen shortly. So I'm going to call the number for those in Radio Land: 0779 0000691, 0779 0000691. Maybe you want to recommend some of those things that you think would be necessary that will strengthen the fight against corruption to CENTAL. You can just put in your calls to 0779 0000691, 0779 0000691. If you are watching us, the number is on the screen. Follow us on Facebook, Integrity TV. The number is on the screen as well. So I just talked about the young people being included in the fight against corruption. I know that. Yeah, okay, we'll have a caller. Hello, caller. Your name and where you calling from? Okay, Lofa, come to it. Let's hear you out. Are you recommending to the lawmaker or to center? Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. He's talking about the whistleblower act, how the government of Liberia in the house to do something about it. You want to throw light on that before we talk about the youth engagement?
Yeah, so it's important that it's important and welcoming that we have people listening for as far as Lofa County. Like I said earlier, the message is going across. What he talked about is very important for what we're doing as a time, what we're doing as a country to deal with corruption. Earlier, I talked about the bills that the president submitted or the executive submitted, for which we've commended the presidency and the government. The legislature has to play its part. The lower house has passed on those different instruments. They are with the Liberian Senate at the moment. We're calling on the leadership of the Senate, Senator Shea, and all the other people there, Dillon, and the rest of the leaders at the Senate to timely act on these bills because they are important for the governance process. They are important for the fight against corruption. And when passed, they are going to help to give people the confidence needed to report corruption and other related issues. Because, like he said, whistleblower protection is a key part. Witness protection is also key. These are things that are before them that they need to add upon, especially so that the legislature represent the interests of the people. They are the direct representatives of the people, and as such, they need to act in ways and manners that are in the foremost interest of the public.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. Let's take this caller quickly. Let's take this caller. Yeah. Good morning. Your name and where you calling from? Okay. Are you following the discussion? W- okay. Just continue listening, please. Just continue following the show. Yeah, we'll look into that. All right. Then. Yeah. Let's get like I was talking about the youth is very the young people. They need to be included in the fight. It's important that we set that foundation because once the foundation is kind of a temper with, you will not have the wars going up properly. So
Yeah, of course. The youth engagement is a key part of what we do at CENTAL. By the way, it is very Transparency International is very key about youth engagement. As we engage at the top, like we've always said, we engage at the lower level. And what happens at the community level, what happens at the level of the youth-led institutions or the level of young people is very important. So we have this youth intake engagement program that is a part of the National Integrity Building Anti-Corruption Program that looks at working with young people to groom them, to develop them into integrity champions, to make them good citizens, to give them skills, ethical skills and values that they can then use to be better citizens in the country. And so with that program, we have integrity clubs in 4 universities in Monterrado. We expect to decentralize that process once we have resources along the way. But right now, we have the clubs at the University of Liberia, Stella Maris Polytechnic University, United Methodist University, and African Methodist Episcopal University. So these four integrated clubs have young people. There's a leadership, or they have leadership that have been working with the rest of the members and people they've mobilized in these universities to talk about accountability, to talk about good citizenship, to talk about ethical values, so that when these people transition, even as they learn, they can learn these values along: inclusion, diversity, inclusiveness, transparency, accountability, integrity, good citizenship, and all of the different values that they need to be good citizens, and of course, integrity champions. So we've been doing that and working with them also to go to the high schools and the communities to engage with other people, because we don't want the message to sit at the levels of these at the level of these universities. We want the students, the integrity club members, to go out there and engage with other people so that they spread the message as widely as possible. So we're doing that. It's been a very interesting program. You've had many of the young people here talking about what they've been doing themselves, and we're really hoping that we can continue with this program and even expand it to other universities and schools, communities as well, so that more and more people, more and more young people get the message that corruption is not a way out. Don't see what the people are doing out there, what some of the public officials are doing, what some of the people in the private sector and the other places are doing, amassing illicit wealth or getting rich overnight. That is not a way out. They are taking away from what is meant for the country. They are putting more and more people into poverty. As you grow up, live lives of integrity, be integrity champions, be ethical in the way you conduct yourself, so that what you do is in the very best interest of the public, and you can help to groom people as well. You can be a reference point for people who want to live ethically in society. So that program has been happening ongoing, and we look forward to continuing with it as we engage with the different things we do. One of the things that we also do, because we believe in partnership, is to bring different players together. So we reactivated the National
Yeah, I was
Integrity
just about to go to
Forum,
that. Yeah.
and that forum has been engaging, meeting. It came up a long time ago, but because it was dormant, not much was heard about the Integrity Forum. We had to work with the other people, the PPCC, LACC, GAC, and the rest of the actors that are involved with that process to reactivate it. Thankfully, it has been meeting. At the moment, we're grateful to the Sudesh for the support they're providing to this integrity building anti-corruption program, because of which we're extending support to the forum, and their minimum resources as it gets back on its feet to mobilize more resources, to do as many things as possible. Essentially, also, as you may be aware, we are working with civil society actors, especially people at the community level. So we believe that we cannot achieve this alone. We cannot win the war against corruption alone. There are certain things that we do on our own as CENTAL, but there are many other things that we do working along with other players in government, players in the private sector, players in civil society, players in the media, and even within the communities. So the Joint Civil Society Initiative works basically with civil society people, CBOs, community-based organizations. We've brought them together, trained them, and given them minimum resources that they can use to engage, spread the anti-corruption message, conduct advocacy campaigns, engage with policymakers, so that together we help to make the country better. There is no one person that can win a war against corruption. There is no one institution that can do that, not even the government of Liberia. Government needs civil society, government needs the media, government needs ordinary citizens, government needs the development partners who are contributing resources, technical support, and other things that they're giving that are helping the governance process in the country. We need to come together as a country. We need to come together as a people to engage with this process, because that is the only way Liberia can become better. Corruption has taken a lot from this country. It continues to take a lot from this country. We believe that we need to move away from the past. We need to make this country better. It saddens many people, including myself, that in this time and age, we are still suffering from electricity issues, and the sector actors, are not really up to the task in terms of providing the requisite services. That's concerning. We still have issue with water in a country that has abundance of water. People still have issues getting water, clean water, of water that they can use to live. That is something that we need to do something about as a country. And as we end this program, I'd like to say again to the presidency that much needs to happen. The president has not done enough. Yes, the few things that are happening. He's doing infrastructure here and there, building schools, are very laudable, as we indicated, doing some road construction, very laudable, but the governance piece is practically missing. We need the president to focus on addressing governance issues, because that's the only way partners will have confidence in the system. That is the only way partners will give direct resources to the government. All of these allegations of corruption that keep coming up do not augur well for the country. What is happening at latest right now, we think that the president needs to act. He needs to suspend the people at the center of these allegations, pending the outcome of the investigation that the LACC is conducting. By doing that, people will have a sense that the president is getting ready. At the moment, we believe that he's not doing enough. Having these institutions and not supporting them does not call it. It is not the right thing to do. Integrity institutions play a very important role in the governance process, in giving the country the reputation it needs, and having them handicapped in the manner and form we have at the moment does not do any good in giving the government the reputation it needs to really stand out there, mobilize resources, and do the things it needs to do.
Thank you so very much. That was the voice of the team lead, Mr. Anderson D. Miamen of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL. As much as we pressure those in authority to be transparent and accountable in what they do, we as citizens must also be people that should enforce, that should encourage transparency and accountability in all of our dealing. Today's show has been a wonderful one. I've been your host, Mark Debbie Bondao, and the show that you're being tuned to is Integrity Watch. Thank you so much for following. Till then, I'll see you next time. Goodbye and have a pleasant weekend.